Hi, we're in Stockton, California, and we're at the Pacific Flathead Borer Field Day. And I'm here with Jhalendra Rijal, and he's a UC IPM advisor. And Jhalendra, can you just start by giving us a little bit of a background of this pest when you first discovered it?
The Pacific Flatheaded Borer, we started finding them a lot more activity in the orchard in the Stockton area and back in 2019. So that's the year that a lot of growers, pest control advisors in the area just reported that we have these unusual damage in our walnut orchard and branches and what's going on. And so at that time we had a team of some of the farmer advisors at that time in the San Joaquin County, also some of the USDA scientists from Davis. We got together and we visited several orchards, and that's where we found out it's actually the Pacific Flatheaded Borer causing this kind of damage in the walnut.
And it's not something you guys had really previously seen here before.
No, it was not like seen as a problem in the past, although the insect itself is a native to here. So we occasionally see in some of the tree crops there is damage when there is stress trees or the trees that has some sort of damage already. So those are the ones that in the past occasionally seen, but never seen as a problem in a widespread level. And what we have seen since then in walnut, it's much more problem, it's much more issue. The growers are struggling, the growers are kind of trying to manage it, trying to deal with it, and it's a tough pest to take under control.
Yeah. So can you just talk a little bit about how it's evolved? It's really evolved in the last, 4 or 5 years or so since you guys first discovered it. And you talked a lot about that today. What are some of the factors driving that?
Yeah, one of the things, we don't know exactly what are the factors behind it, but in terms of what it seems to be, it appears that these insects, they like more like a dry heat environment, and then the drought that we have in the last 10-15 years in the valley, that might be one of the contributing factor. Summer heat is definitely the one that favors these kind of insect. And also we have a lot of walnut acres now, and walnut somehow it seems to be a lot more susceptible than any other tree crops that we have seen. So these all multiple factors is kind of combining in their drought, the heat, summer heat that we're seeing, all together potentially create this environment that is much more favorable for these insects, and then their population is building within the orchard, and so they become now resident pests in walnut orchard.
So certainly a number of environmental factors are at play here too.
Yes, I think so.
So this wasn't going to be one of my questions, but we have some examples of some of the effects of this pest. If you want to hold a couple of those up. Yeah. So I'm not sure how much they're going to be able to see, but maybe if you want to point out some of, I know they were showing us the exit areas.
Yeah, I know that these are some of the damage in here. You can see in here. There are some older damage from potentially from the last year in here. So if you looked at a lot of these infestation point, then that if you have a lot of that happens, the branch basically from this side on, all that branch will basically die off. And so the only way you can do it is just to cut this branch. But if you have a lot out there in every branch, then you're pretty much cutting all these trees and the branches, and then so you reduce the productivity overall. And this also helps the insect to establish in a long run, has build their population. Not only these are bigger size, we have seen even bigger than this size limbs. Sometimes we can see the damage on the trunk. Younger trees definitely have damage on their trunk, but also smaller ones like a twig, like this size, we can see the damage in full damage, kind of like a feeding channel here with all the frass. You can see the older damage here, and so this is like a little tiny twig compared to this one.
Yeah.
So all of these various different sizes of the branches is get under attack by the flat-headed borer.
So it's kind of indiscriminate attacks, small and large branches.
It is, yeah.
Another thing one of your colleagues was saying was that she would have had a bigger example out here if she could have cut the whole branch off, but she didn't want to destroy his tree.
Yeah,
So,
of course, yeah. So we have seen that, like bigger branches and limbs, they can attack on those too. Yeah.
And just to wrap it up, what are some of the new findings from this recent research that you're finding for growers that actually works? You talked about some of the new traps you guys have been trying. Just what are some new tools you can give to growers to implement some new methods into their orchards so that maybe they can start getting a handle on this?
Yeah, so in the last 4 or 5 years, we have been that was our goal, to find any monitoring tools for this insect. So we have been trying all different kinds of traps that are based on some work done, research done in other states on similar type of insect, like breasted insect. We tried a purple color trap. We tried different shape and different size. Some goes on the tree up there in the canopy height. Some goes on the ground. But finally, we found this like a little triangular trap where you can put it in the ground. And this year we found that yellow and red color trap, mostly the yellow, which has a pretty consistent capture throughout the season, is the one the most effective in capturing specific flat-headed borer in walnut orchard. So we're also trying to include some of the attractants, so some of the volatiles and lures, but that would be something next step we'll do. So far, if we use these 4 feet tall, sort of like we call the triangular trap, it has about 4 inches in the each side, goes on the ground 4 feet tall, and it has a glue, of course, on the all sides, so that whenever the insect get attracted to the color, they will is basically trapped on those traps. And so that's the best one that we have, and it's effective trap for detection of the flat-headed borer. So that's the most advanced we have so far for the trap wise. And we are also trying to do multiple insecticide trial. We're also looking at some of the entomopathogenic biological based insecticide as an option. It's a very challenging pest because once they feed on, they goes inside the branch. It's very difficult to treat with any insecticide, right. But some of the insecticide were showing more better promising results than the others, and so we'll continue looking at some of these options so that we'll have the tools that the grower need in order to control these insects.
Great. Well, thank you so much for the update, and we'll be monitoring this.